Self-praise is for losers. Be a winner. Stand for something. Always have class and be humble. Hall of Fame football coach John Madden said that. You cannot win without maturity and consistency. Marco Silva said that. One will never win unless they are willing to step over the edge. An unknown author said that. Ilhan Omar is a Somali immigrant who was born in Mogadishu, Somalia. At the age of 12, Ilhan Omar, along with her family, migrated to the United States of America from a Kenyan refugee camp that her and her family had entered while fleeing the Somalian civil war. At the age of 17, allegedly, Ilhan Omar graduated, became a U.S. citizen. And a year later, she had an unlawful, illegal religious marriage to a man whose last name is Hersey, a childhood friend who Omar eloped with soon after graduating from high school. After this, Ilhan Omar would go to several different colleges, majoring in a wide range of subjects from nutrition to business administration, but initially she wanted to be an accountant. But she struggled to keep up with the load that a degree in accounting demanded. Makes a lot of sense when you think about what she's being accused of lately, right? Later on, Ilhan Omar came to prominence as a organizer in Minnesota's Vote No Twice campaign. One subject that was hotly contested in Minnesota was the idea that marriage was something that could only take place or be between one man and one woman. Obviously, being a Muslim, Ilhan Omar believed you should have many wives if you were a Muslim man. So she was a staunch opposer of that particular reasoning. The other was a voter ID proposal, which would have required anyone who votes in the state of Minnesota to provide a valid Minnesota state ID. Obviously, she was opposed to that. The reason why I'm telling you the history of Ilhan Omar is because it points out one very obvious fact. Ilhan Omar is really nobody special. She's not particularly intelligent. She's not particularly well spoken. She is not a genius by any unit of measure. And she ultimately is a Somalian refugee who was voted into Congress because she represents an area of the country where there is a large Muslim population. And that being the case, when she went to Congress, the only goal, the only objective Ilhan Omar had was to fight for not even the right, was to fight for the dominance of the Somali refugee community over every other American, not only in Minnesota, but in the entire country. How is it that someone from such humble beginnings, a quote unquote tether, as has become the popular term, rose to prominence so much so that 2025 would be a year where we are now learning that Somalian immigrants have become more economically viable in America than African Americans in only a short period of time of them being here. When African Americans, we continuously praise ourselves and pat ourselves on the back about this, we have been in this country since 1619, only to see ourselves surpassed in relatively little time by an illegal horde of Somali immigrants. How is it that in 2025, going into 2026, the Black American political goal has been reduced down to begging the same government that we call racist to give the Black community a handout in the form of cash payments or reparations specifically to the descendants of American slaves? While at the same time we are learning that the Somalis, the immigrants, the people who have been here very little time, they have allegedly pilfered over $8 billion out of the American economy specifically for the furtherance and prosperity of the Somali immigrant community. They've taken so much money out of the American economy, they're not only driving around in luxury cars and living in luxury apartments and mansions, they have pilfered so much that they are now allegedly able to sponsor terrorism, allegedly, all over the world, including but not limited to the Middle East, Somalia itself, and other terrorist sponsoring countries. You've been here hundreds of years in advance. You reached the highest heights. We saw a African American president, but many will say he wasn't really a Black American president. Only to see yourself over a decade after Barack Obama walked away from the presidency of the United States, be right back at square one where you are begging this quote unquote racist government for a handout. If that's not a whooping, well, doggone it, I don't know what is. How did the Black American get to the point where we are now being surpassed in mass by immigrants, including but not limited to refugee terrorism sponsoring Minnesota Somalis? Well, the reality is, in order for someone to actually win, they have to know what they're aiming at. They have to have a goal in mind. And the goal has to be specific. If you play basketball, your goal is to put the basketball through the basketball hoop more times than the opposing team. Whoever puts the basketball through the hoop the most, barring any penalties or whatnot, that team wins the game. Same thing in football. Whoever either kicks the most field goals or gets the ball into the end zone on the touchdown, they win the game. In both games, there's a specific goal. And that is how a winner is determined. And the person who is able to achieve that goal the most in every game that is played, that person will inevitably win a Super Bowl or an NBA championship. But does Black America really even have a goal? Or is our goal simply to remain the permanent victim class slash underclass within American society, while we complain about how every other group of people in America is in some way violating us, abusing us, oppressing us, or robbing us of what we are rightfully owed. I'm starting to think it's the latter because even now, as African Americans, Black Americans learn that another group, while because I'm Black American, while we were begging for reparations in the form of cash payments for the descendants of slaves, that was about 10 years we've been focused on that, which ultimately yielded nothing. We saw immigrant Somalis out of Minnesota, people who only a few decades ago left Kenyan refugee camps. We're learning that they reached the pinnacle of economic mobility in this country during the time that we were begging. While Tariq Nasheed, Yvette Carnell, Antonio Moore, Cobra, ADOS, FBA, and all these other acronyms were telling you that your future resided in the pockets of other non-Black American people, the Somali immigrant was hard at work, not only electing representation that truly represented Somalians and their interests, but also holding that representation accountable to bring the wealth of this country into the Somali community by any means necessary. They didn't care if they had to earn it. They didn't care if they had to steal it, scam it, swindle it. Their entire goal was to bring American wealth that they had not contributed to in the slightest into the Somali community at an exponential rate, use that wealth to further Somali interest, not only in Minnesota and in the United States, but all over the world. Whole time, guess what Black America was doing? Whole time, guess what Black America was doing? Cut the check. Reparations or else. It's a debt that's listen to Sandy Darity, listen to Ta-Nehisi Coates, listen to Danny Glover. Black America was begging. But would you believe that Black America actually had a chance to eclipse any and every leap and bound that the Somali community made economically? And they had the chance to dwarf their prosperity legally. Because while the Somali community begged, borrowed, and stole $8 billion out of the American economy, the US economy, there was a certain president who offered the Black American community $500 billion of investment into the African American or Black community. And you know what we did? We rejected it. Understand that. While you are complaining and begging Donald Trump to evict Somalis out of America over $8 billion, because there's a little bit of anger there, because there's also a little bit of jealousy there too. There's a little bit of, man, if that would have been us, that sentiment, right? You turned down a $500 billion economic investment in your own because it wasn't coming from where you wanted it to come from. It wasn't coming from the Democrat Party. You got beat. You got whooped. You got taken to school. You got laid low. You got cooked, as we call it. You got hoed, as some people tend to call it, by a group of people who, let's be honest, the average IQ in their country is 67. But because they stuck together, they held their representation accountable, and they fearlessly pursued their goal. They were able to whoop you. They were able to outdo you economically for the past decade, over the past decade. And it wasn't hard, because while you were caught up on slogans and DVD releases and FBA marches and FBA rallies and all this stuff, the Somalis were quietly pilfering billions and billions of dollars out of the U.S. economy. They were quietly turning Minnesota into a Somali immigrant Mecca. We thought Mecca was in Saudi Arabia, right? But it's really in Minnesota. They were turning the state of Minnesota into their Mecca. And they weren't worried a single bit about being oppressed. They weren't worried a single bit about racism. As a matter of fact, they used weaponized claims of racism to their benefit so that they could steal money while making the whistleblowers of Minnesota feel powerless to stop it. And it's not like these people are perfect. It's not like they possess some higher level of intelligence, because even their representative, Ilhan Omar, time and time again, she has been proven to be an inept person. Most recently, while she was being interviewed by mainstream media on CNN and was caught in a blatant lie saying that ICE pulled over her teenage son while he was driving, and he was forced to show proof that he was a U.S. citizen under threat of being detained or imprisoned. Let's tap into this.
You've said that federal immigration agents actually pulled over your son on Saturday and asked him to prove his citizenship. He is, of course, a U.S. citizen, as are you. The Department of Homeland Security says, and I'm quoting them, ICE has absolutely zero record of its officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son, and have accused you of seeking to, quote, demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt, their words. What do you say to that?
Well, if ICE is saying that they have documentation of every single person that they have pulled over in Minneapolis, we would love to see that record, because we've certainly, myself and the governor, have been asking them to share information with us.
That's definitely not me. That's the video that I used, unfortunately.
And the ways in which they have interacted with Minnesotans, and they have not been able to provide a single information. So it is amazing that they're able to put out this statement, definitely in saying definitely that they did not pull my son over, when they haven't been able to answer anything else. And ICE has been known.
I don't know what is going on with this. Hold on one second. Bear with me. There's plenty of videos of this.
Zero record of its officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son, and have accused you of seeking to, quote, demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt, their words. What do you say to that?
Well, if ICE is saying that
I don't know what's going on. Technology will get you every time, I tell you that.
they have
Bear with me 1 second. One second, guys. I think maybe something's going on with X. We're gonna start this over just so we can. We're gonna start this over so we can get the full scoop.
You've said that federal immigration agents actually pulled over your son on Saturday and asked him to prove his citizenship. He is, of course, a U.S. citizen, as are you. The Department of Homeland Security says, and I'm quoting them, ICE has absolutely zero record of its officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son and have accused you of seeking to, quote, demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt, their words. What do you say to that?
Well, if ICE is saying that they myself and the governor have been asking them to share information with
I don't know
us
what
on the ways in which they have interacted.
you guys are gonna have to bear with me. I'm gonna have to start my computer over or something. I don't know what's going on with this. Hold on, let's see if we can get it going now.
With Minnesotans, and they have
Yeah, I think that might be X that's tripping. No. Hold on, bear with me. I'm gonna close this out and come right back. Don't go anywhere.
stunt, their words. The Department of Homeland Security says, and I'm quoting them, ICE has absolutely zero record of its officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son, and have accused you of seeking to, quote, demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt, their words. What do you say to that?
Well, if ICE is saying that they have documentation of every single person that they have pulled over in Minneapolis, we would love to see that record, because we've certainly, myself and the governor, have been asking them to share information with us on the ways in which they have interacted with Minnesotans, and they have not been able to provide a single information. So it is amazing that they're able to put out this statement in saying definitely that they did not pull my son over when they haven't been able to answer anything else. And ICE has been known to lie when it comes to their enforcement.
I know the Department of Homeland Security says, and I'm quoting them, ICE has absolutely zero record of its office.
Okay, so as we saw there, Ilhan Omar, she got caught in a blatant lie. She tried to say that ICE pulled over her son. Obviously, ICE would have records of stops, especially with the continuing criticism of ICE at the hands of protesters, mainstream media, advocacy groups, all these people. I'm pretty sure the Department of Homeland Security is very carefully recording everything. So this idea that the son of a prominent person, such as Ilhan Omar, was pulled over by ICE and there is no record of it, it's just given a blatant lie. But we know that people like this, they don't care about telling the truth. And in many ways, that's one of the things that helps them get ahead in America. Being willing to step off the edge, being willing to live and die on a ridiculous statement that at any other time in history would have been absolutely career ending. But these people continue to rise like the Walking Dead and come back from what should be career ending statements and actions. Look at Jasmine Crockett. She's a person who pretty much can say anything, walk it back, get caught in a blatant lie on camera. And the people who support her, they won't look at her and question her for being dishonest. They won't hold her accountable for her dishonesty. What they'll do is they'll say the problem is really with the person who's criticizing Jasmine Crockett. The problem is really with the person who's trying to hold Jasmine Crockett accountable. But let's be realistic. Let's tell the truth about this. The people who are supporting politicians like Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, and the like, these are African-American people. These are the same people who constantly complain about coming in last economically. They're complaining about what they ain't got and how they can't get reparations, while not realizing that the same groups that you fight to allow access into this country, the same groups that you scream and holler people are racist for attempting to hold them accountable, well, these groups are the ones stealing everything that you could have been given in the name of reparations. So at this point, 2025, going into 2026, you're still begging for reparations while simultaneously supporting a group who stole billions of dollars from the government, which only makes the chances of you actually getting reparations even smaller. You're begging for the reparations, they're stealing the reparations, and they don't even deserve reparations. And you are helping them steal because you're operating like a shield for these people from accountability. Does that make sense? It's like I had an epiphany. We're literally defending the people whose theft and dishonesty is driving us or moving us further and further from the possibility of receiving reparations. And we're thrilled to death about it. Like I said on yesterday's broadcast, while we sit up and attempt to demonize everybody, especially Donald Trump, the only president Not even Barack Obama offered you a platinum plan like what Donald Trump offered you. We demonize him to defend the Democrats and defend the Somalis and defend the Afghanis and defend the Hispanics and defend the immigrants. Whole time, like we brought up in the basketball and football analogy, what is your specific goal? And are your actions, are they flying in direct contradiction, acute contradiction to what you say your goals are? I want reparations in the form of cash payments for the descendants of slaves. Well, in order for the United States to ever even entertain that, obviously you need a time of great prosperity where people don't really feel like they would be taking much of a hit to give you that. Do you think people are going to vote or decide to give reparations to African Americans when they're being told that they've lost billions and billions of dollars to theft at the hands of illegal immigrants? Illegal immigrants who African Americans are literally voting to defend and protect. African Americans are jumping in front of news cameras like the situation in LA saying, oh, it's the Black Brown Coalition. Oh, these are our brothers. Oh, they just like us. Oh, this is just like slavery. You know what people are thinking when they see that? They're looking at you and they're saying, you know what? You're a part of the problem. You're definitely not a part of the solution. Why would they fund the problem? Why would they fund someone who's making it very clear that they're resigned to being part of the problem? No, they're going to fund the solution. They're going to fund the person who says, hey, get these people out. And the people who defended these people, they will operate from that time and forward as a pariah class. They will be shunned by the greater or dominant society as basically participants in what, for lack of a better term, could be called an economic coup, where money was stolen from the American people and then redistributed to terrorist groups allegedly all over the globe. I mean, is there something I'm missing here? Is there something that I need to be brought up to speed with? The ends don't justify the means. You literally constantly complaining about what you ain't got, but defending people who are taking from the government money that you could be using to be given, that could be used to give you all the things that you ain't got. You say you ain't got housing. You say you ain't got food. You say you ain't got opportunities. Well, you know what you need to create all that? Money. They're taking money. They're stealing money. They're making their paradise. They created their utopia. Over 90% of them are legal. You can't get rid of them. They built a utopia, a Islamic utopia, off the backs of Black America. So we like, yo, we ain't going to bend down in the cotton field to work for the white man to get rich, but we going to bend our back on the picket line or the protest line, which is like the new plantation. We're going to bend our back there so the Somalians could step on our back and jump up and reach a higher level. And then and the cold part about it is this: while you beg for reparations from the Democrats tell you no. Kamala Harris, I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people. Whole time, Democrats were allegedly colluding with these Somali immigrants, colluding with the Hispanic immigrants to pilfer money from the government. And everybody was getting rich. The Democrats love you so much that they've abused you for decades. They've abused you. They whooped you. They mistreat you. They killed you. They lynched you. They did all that. But they love you so much. That's why you vote for them, because you think they quote unquote like you. They like you so much they won't even let you in on the plot. They won't even let you in on the flock. They say, look, we're going to steal a gang of money and Black America is not invited. They've been down with us since the 30s and the 20s. But we're not even going to allow them to get a cut of what we're about to steal from the federal government. Why? Because they don't have to give you a cut. You the fool who helping to rob the bank and the liquor store just because it's fun. You're not taking a cut of the money. You're just doing it for entertainment value. You on the internet acting a damn fool, showing your ass every day on behalf of the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party ain't cut you in once on nothing. To this day, like whatever the Brown Bomber says, right? To this day, the largest economic investment ever offered to the African American community specifically has come from a man that most Black Americans say they hate, Donald Trump. The Platinum Plan, $500 billion. Guys, listen, Trump got reelected. You could have had Trump on the hook for $500 billion. But you know what you said? I don't want it if it come from Donald Trump. I don't want it if it come from, I don't like him. I don't want it if it come from him. So now what do you get? Some of these Black HBCUs, they getting a little piece because they going in there, quiet as kept and asking for the money. But what are you getting collectively? What are you getting communally? All you're getting now is robbed blind, having your resources, your opportunities, your jobs, and your housing taken from you by the Democrat Party and redistributed to illegal criminal immigrants while you sit with your hands folded and feel real good patting yourself on the back because you get to take a dig at Donald Trump every day. Like that's some type of accomplishment. Hey, I don't got a pot to piss in. No money for college. Don't really know where my next meal's coming from. But you know what? I get to talk shit about Donald Trump no matter what. There was a report that just came out that, inflation has dropped to 2.7%. This is a pretty big deal. You should see the post from black folks criticizing the president because they're mad that inflation dropped to 2.7%. If you're like, how do you win with that type of mindset? Where if something bad happened, it's a negative. If something good happened, it's a negative. If the good don't come from a specific place that you want it to come from. And so if you say, oh, they never defeated us, FBA this, FBA doing this, and it's strong. Well, yeah, you're beat. You're beat. And most of in the biggest aspect, the most important aspect of you losing is how much you beat yourself with your messed up way of thinking. They don't even have to throw a punch because you too busy doing any and everything to weaken your position to where all they got to do is touch you and you're just going to fall over. But nobody wants to think about that. Nobody's going to get on this internet and tell you that. How is you getting in front of cameras, getting on the internet every day to bash Donald Trump, helping you move forward economically? That's my question. How is you refusing to work with the President of the United States, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of HUD, all these people who control things, who happens to be Black? How is you refusing to work with them getting you closer to whatever goal you set for your community? Ultimately, it's not. So even though a significant number of the Somalians are getting deported, overwhelmingly, this is a win for the Somali community. Overwhelmingly, most of that $8 billion is gone, never to be seen again, whether it's in overseas bank accounts or if it's been invested in different investment vehicles where it can't be tracked. That's a win for them. They still pushing Bugattis and Mercedes and all that stuff. They still, the politicians who they support, still use millions and millions of dollars from that theft to fund their campaigns. And they're probably going to get reelected. My question to Black America is, when are you going to start using the strategy that has been proven to work and stop sitting up trying to invent the wheel every couple of years? And more importantly, stop reducing yourself down to a beggar class. There's an old saying, beggars can't be choosers. We begging, but think we going to have some choice in the matter. Like we going to get to walk in and say, well, this is how it is, and this is the way it's going to be. Take that. No. The beggars can't be choosers. You have to take whatever the person you're begging decides to give you ultimately. So if you say, Ilhan Omar and the Somalis did not defeat Tariq Nasheed and FBA and all these people, then you's a damn liar. And you know you are. Because in a 10-year span, 10 years following Black America being offered $500 billion in economic investment, Black folks got $0 worth of investment, and the Somalis took in $8 billion allegedly, and some people are saying it could have been as much as $18 billion allegedly, and only a few of them are getting deported, and probably the ones getting deported are the ones that the majority of the Somalis won't go anyway. Ilhan Omar getting on the news, lying every 5 minutes. Guess what? She's still on the news. She's still in Congress. She's still a representative. When is Black America going to start operating in a way that benefits them and stop just fighting for things that only benefit others? That's my question. That's the question that I posed to you today. Did Black America get whooped? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, they got whooped. Is there a way that we can kind of make a comeback? Yeah. Is it likely? I really don't know. I'm leaning towards no. And why? Because we only want prosperity and progress if it comes from exactly who we want it from. If it don't come from them, oh, God damn it, then we don't want it, according to us. Okay, so let me know what you think about that in the comments. Thank you all for being here. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm just trying to make sure there's not a delay. Anybody who's paying attention to the screen, let me know if you hear a delay. If there's anything going on with the mic, give me a 1 if we're all good. Give me a 2 if we're not. And I want to get into something else. I want to talk about this beef between 50 Cent. You know, white people, that's how they say 50 Cent, 50 Cent. I used to hate that. I used to hate hearing white folks say 50 Cent. Or do their best impression of how they think a Black person is supposed to say. Oh, that's 50 Cent. Who says that? My tongue doesn't even work that. 50 Cent. But 50 Cent is apparently beefing with none other than Dr. Umar Johnson, our resident Pan-African master teacher, psychologist, board certified school psychologist, proprietor, owner, creator, founder of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey School for Boys. Soon as he get that central air fixed, I'm talking about as soon as they put it in, he opening up that school, and the white man is in trouble. The white man is in trouble once Umar opened up that school in America where white people outnumber Black people like 4-1. But as soon as he opened up that school, it's over for bro. It's over for bro. He's cooked. Let's see what him and 50 is beefing about. And we have to go to my number one source for celebrity gossip. Oh, Shay Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Sub
to this.
Jump. Start this over. Here we go. And here we go.
Everybody is still talking about 50 Cent's new documentary, The Reckoning, in which he's exposing in a 4-part series on Netflix everything wrong with Sean Diddy Combs, aka also now known as P. Diddy.
He's right, you know.
And one of those people that responded to this was Dr. Umar Johnson. To be fair enough, he did not go on his social media and just talk about it, but he was asked about it on a live stream, and he had this to say.
I saw the Diddy documentary. Here's what I'm going to say about the Diddy documentary. And I have no problem with Black people holding Black people accountable. I'm having a problem with Black people needing to expose Black people that in-depthly.
Yeah.
But you never expose white people who do things to Black people. The Roman Catholic Church has taken advantage of way more children than R. Kelly allegedly did.
Right.
Are you following me?
I'm following you.
Jeffrey Epstein has taken advantage of way more women than Sean Combs allegedly did. But where is the documentary on Epstein by black people?
Now, Dr. Umar Johnson says something that's very, very powerful. He says, hey, I understand what 50 Cent is doing. And this is not me being against accountability. But why is it that when blacks do something, it's against other blacks? It's exposing other people in our community. Why don't the blacks in the community go out and expose other groups? Why do you challenge those in the community? And that's important for us to understand, because he isn't the first person to say this.
I'm like, dude, why is 50 Cent doing this? I ain't gonna lie, like, what's the motive here?
A lot of people don't understand why 50 Cent is doing this, and they want to know what is the motivation of this. So I decided to do some investigation. Dr. Umar Johnson, in his own right, is a very big figure, especially in the Pan-African community. He tours all over the country and even the world. He's in Europe, he's in Africa, and he is a voice of reason, especially to a lot of the intellectual or social framework of what is known as Pan-Africanism. He speaks not only on issues affecting Black Americans, but blacks as a whole. And to be honest, he's brilliant. I can't take anything away from him as an intellectual. But the issue with Dr. Umar Johnson is that.
All right. I don't know how O'Shea took this from being about 50 and what he's doing to making this about Dr. Umar per se. But ultimately, I agree with Umar Johnson. And I expressed this in the video that I did called I Wasted 2 Days Watching the 50 Cent produced P. Diddy documentary. That's the way it is. Where do you think the term crabs in a barrel came from? Black folks gonna go at each other before we go at any person of another group. I just talked at length about Somalis, how they allegedly stole $8 billion that could have been used towards reparation or any other economic investment in the Black community. 50, where's the documentary about them? Where's the documentary about them? I say the same thing about the guy who O'Shea Jackson loves so much, Tariq Nasheed. Tariq always trying to make a documentary and criticize a Black immigrant, but never making a documentary criticizing anybody else. And the reality is our people are just low-hanging fruit. No matter how much money we get, we're still just low-hanging fruit. Because from the time we get a little bit more than what anybody else has, guess what? Our own people start the process of systematically tearing us down, putting chips and chinks in our armor, weakening our defense mechanism, weakening our defenses to the point where we're always kind of teetering on the edge of destruction when it comes to, our public image. Black folks turned on Bill fucking Cosby, knowing that the woman who claimed Bill Cosby SA'd her, one, was lying. Two, if you did any research, which most of us don't, bro gave her some Tylenol or some ibuprofen. And based on some technicality, they were able to arrest Bill Cosby over that and say bro gave her like drugs or gave her something that was going to alter her mental state. Bill Cosby got busted over a technicality, and you had a Black woman jumping out of the bushes with no shirt on, topless. Like Bill Cosby had just walked, like Bill Cosby had killed 50 damn people or have blew up the World Trade Center or something like that. We just love whooping on each other to put up to make ourselves, I guess, more acceptable to other groups. Oh, I'm going to go after, 50 was low for that. I'm going to go after Diddy after Diddy then just got whooped out. Right? And you know what I tell you? And you know what's funny? I bet somebody like 50 will say, well, he should be glad that I didn't release it during the trial or some nonsense like that. I just feel like somebody like 50 would say something like that. Oh, he should be glad I didn't release it during the trial. Why did you release it at all? He got kids just like you. He got a family just like you. But you know what the crazy thing is? A lot of black people go after people who have things that they wish they had. Nobody has to argue. Diddy's way richer than 50. I feel like there's a bit of jealousy there, right? On top of that, Diddy, from what I see, has a really good relationship with his son. 50 Cent doesn't have such a great relationship with his son or any of his kids from what I could see. It's almost like, look, I can't get you on nothing else, so I'm going to get you by piling on some in a situation where, the circumstances are very dubious. There's a lot of room for diverging opinions. Yeah, I'm with Umar on that. I have to side with Umar on that. Why aren't you making a film about anybody else, bro? Why aren't you making a film about anybody else? It's all. Why didn't we get a 50 Cent documentary about Harvey Weinstein? It's like why? Because listen, 50 Cent wants access to those white folks and them rich people that Diddy had access to. I was watching a reel with Memphis Bleak, and Memphis Bleak was talking about, man, you go to New York, it's levels to New York. There's places that even he, being someone who is rich, who will always be a millionaire according to Jay-Z, don't even have access to. He said Jay-Z himself is just now gaining access to some of these places, and 50 want to be up there. But 50 got to do something because this whole Black Money Family, BMF or whatever that was, that fell through when he fell out with Big Meech and Little Meech. It's called cannibalizing, where you go after your own as a survival mechanism while you wait in line to be deemed acceptable by other groups of people. But the bigger problem or the bigger issue is this. We can sit up and criticize 50 all we want to, but this is a communal problem. Because why did people watch a documentary about that basically speculates on a bunch of stuff that we, based on the ruling, we know to either not be true, or we know that there's not enough evidence, right, to prove that these things are true. It was so bad. Like, you have black people, they saw him beating up Cassie, right? They like, hey, he needs to go to jail for that. Well, he's not on trial for that. It don't matter. He still needs to go to jail for that. You have black folks, man. Most black folks didn't even care about the essay and all that. They was like, man, he did them dudes for making the band wrong. He needs to get convicted for this to make up for that. He needs to get convicted of rape to make up for what they feel to be a bad business deal or an exploitive business deal. But that's how we think, man. That's how we think. Literally just like, yo, this guy did not rape this woman. But if he has to go down for rape in order to make amends for bro making the band a bad deal, then so we got the most twisted concept of justice on earth, man. This is why I'm a strong believer. Black folks really do need Christianity, bro. Black folks really do need the Bible. Because without some type of guiding mechanism, without some type of vehicle to like provoke self-accountability, black folks, I mean, I believe the shit I saw in them Shaka Zulu miniseries and stuff. Dudes sticking the poles up people at. Oh, that never happened. Man, that shit happened. I know it happened. And why do I know it happened? Because I could see some black folks doing some shit like that to somebody who has been deemed to be problematic to the community. And the one thing about us is we don't need no evidence. Black folks don't believe in evidence. That's why we the number one viewers of them true crime and all that, First 48 and all that mess. We love those type of shows Because we make a determination whether the person is guilty or innocent within the first 2 minutes, whether they did it or not. We don't even need to get the evidence. Nah, that motherfucker guilty. Evidence come out. He not guilty. Nah, he probably still did something. Dude, he wasn't even on the same planet. He was in the space station when this murder happened. Yeah, he probably flew down in the middle of the night and killed the person and flew back up there. Once we like have an opinion about you, once the peanut gallery determines you to be guilty in our minds, you're done, you're cooked, you're out of there. You have no hope. You are unsalvageable in our community. I'm sorry. Alan in the comments talk about I agree. 100%. We know what it is. And the funny thing is, it's always a rules for thee, but not for me mindset. Because one person can get away with it, but then if another person does the same thing, oh, that's a problem. They're the worst person on earth. They're the worst damn person in the Western Hemisphere. Let's be real. They had, listen, let me tell you something. I'm going to give you a prime example. During the Kamala Harris campaign, before her first campaign where she lost the primary to Joe Biden, there was a woman who accused Joe Biden of raping her. Not just SA, this is rape, right? That's what she accused Joe Biden of. She was all out in the public. She was making it very public that she felt, Joe Biden had, raped her, right? Kamala Harris, the girl's name is Tariq. Kamala Harris came out and said, I believe Joe Biden raped Tariq. And y'all donate because this is probably going to get us demonetized. Kamala Harris came out in public on camera and said, I believe Joe Biden raped Tariq and he needs to be held accountable, right? A few weeks later, Joe Biden offered Kamala Harris the chance to be his vice president. Dude, Kamala Harris forgot about Tariq in an instant. She accepted that invitation. She became Joe Biden's vice president, and she never mentioned it again. Rules for thee, not for me. Depends on who it is. Depends on what the person who allegedly did it has to offer me. Let's be real. And then let me tell you what's funny. We are all guilty of this to an extent. Because R. Kelly. There are many people who say R. Kelly is a monster. He did this and that to those young girls and all that. Listen, if they said we're going to release R. Kelly today, I'll be totally cool with that. Because I value R. Kelly's music more than the accusations of rape from a bunch of women whose parents literally worked to put them in position to be in the presence of R. Kelly, some of whom use fake IDs, all this type of stuff. All this stuff came out in the trial. Some used fake IDs, lied about their age, their parents walked them into the backstage, all types of stuff. Now, am I saying R. Kelly is not a monster and a predator and all that stuff? No. I believe R. Kelly is those things. But do I believe that the circumstances under which he was convicted, do I think that he is guilty of what they charged him with? No, I don't. I believe that was opportunistic, and I believe it falls under the laws of double jeopardy because he had beat a case similar to that in the 90s, right? My thing is this. If you're going to lock R. Kelly up, all the parents need to be locked up as well. All the parents who participated in delivering their children to R. Kelly. If they're not locked up, in my mind, that's the same as it not happening. Because I'm not this, let's hold one person accountable and let everybody else off the hook. If those people are off the hook, then clearly it's not what you said it was. Now that gives me a reasonable doubt. And in our court of law and our justice system, you have to prove something beyond a reasonable doubt. If the parents were delivering the kids there, that gives a reasonable doubt or reasonable suspicion that maybe these girls were given fake IDs. Maybe these girls were going through elaborate measures, taking elaborate measures to deceive R. Kelly about their age. Because I ain't going to take my 16-year-old daughter and deliver her up to no damn R&B singer. So it's just like based on the laws. But guess what? It is what it is. Rules for thee, not for me. Now, if I sit on the jury and they got all this evidence proving bro did it, all right, he's cooked. He's guilty. Let's go. And I'm going to be thinking, what about all these other people? I want to see all the evidence. I'm not a person who's really big on making coming to conclusions based on pieces of evidence, pieces of truth, and not the whole, collective or holistic exposing of the situation. But yeah, this is why. If y'all want to know, right. R. Kelly was convicted of being a one-man racket. Makes no sense. Same thing with Diddy. How you got a RICO trial for one dude? Same thing with Trump. RICO charges against one guy. Ain't RICO supposed to be a whole enterprise or something? Where it's a bunch of people, multiple participants? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And you guys might say like, oh, he's always talking about Trump and defending Trump. It's not even me defending Trump. It's me defending my own conscience. Because it's like, it's not right. I know it's not right. How do I sit here and watch somebody do something that I know is not right? But I'm still gonna just co-sign it because it's groupthink, because that's just what everybody else thinks is supposed to happen. That will never be me. Ever since I was little, I was told, think for yourself. Think for yourself, Brandon. Think for yourself. And that's what I do. Don't be mad at me. Don't be mad at me because I'm old school. That's what I was taught. And that's what I do. No. Diddy doesn't deserve to go to jail for rape because he did domestic violence to Cassie, and vice versa. He deserves to go to jail for domestic violence and do 3 months in jail, like most of these little thugs out here beat up on their girlfriend every day. But I'm not going to condone, let's throw Diddy in jail for 100 years because of what he did to Loon. Let's throw Diddy in jail for 100 years because of what he did to G-Dep, or what's the other dude's name? I forgot his name anyway. But yeah, these what's that guy's name? The one who was signed to Diddy and he died from AIDS. But I'm not I'm not doing that. That's stupid. When you start doing stuff like that, you no longer have any moral high ground. You're no longer qualified to execute justice. You couldn't execute justice at a damn petting zoo with that kind of mindset. You like my AI house? But if only I could be in here for real. It's like it's exposed to me. My AI piano, I'm gonna play chopsticks on that piano. What's chopsticks? Craig Mack. Yeah, Craig Mack. Yeah. I'm really sitting in front of my sink. I'm sitting in the kitchen actually, which is crazy. But yeah, the Craig Mack situation was terrible. Okay, guys. So now let's talk about this cover up. I really think that there's a cover up going on here. I don't really know the details. I am not one to throw out wild speculation. That's never been me. But this Brown shooting is stinking to high heaven of a cover up. All of a sudden, the suspect has been found dead in a storage unit. And apparently it's some like Portuguese dude or something who came over here on a 21-year student visa. I mean, I don't understand how people aren't screaming all the conspiracy theorists, none of them are screaming, hey, this is suspicious. This is suspicione. Somebody said that the brown shooter was not a Muslim. Did I ever say that? I said he was a left-wing lunatic, and that's exactly what he was. And he was an immigrant. He was an immigrant. But we have new updates brought to us by the mainstream media machine. And what's crazy is the inept Providence, Rhode Island police department wasn't even the one that actually solved the case. It was actually the Boston PD, which is a whole nother story in itself. But as much secrecy as shrouded this situation, I mean, the ending was, for me, it was problematic. The ending for me wasn't, it wasn't given what I really needed to feel confident. But what we know now is that this guy not only killed someone at Brown, he then drove to MIT and killed an MIT professor there. So basically just ineptitude on behalf of what I would call a liberal police force created a situation where an active shooter out of college was able to get away. And not only get away, he was able to go to another state and kill someone else. This is getting out of hand. So while they're sitting on stage trying to have the death row family reunion, everybody trying to get on the mic and everybody standing behind Suge and shit, everybody want to get a word in, while they're standing on stage with 30 people in line to tell you that they don't know what happened, this dude is traveling to another state killing somebody else. Ain't that about a B? This guy had time to go kill another professor and then kill himself inside of his storage unit. Did y'all know he was found dead? This guy is Claudio Valente. My name's Claudio. Claudio. I don't trust anybody named Claudio, dude. That right there, for me, would have been enough. I'm switching this class. I ain't about to be sitting up in class with Claudio. But apparently, guy was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, laid up in a storage unit, and a homeless guy, a homeless man, was actually the reason why he was identified. Let's play this.
So I am reading here. Brooke Taylor saying this.
And they can't.
Sources confirm.
They can't never just have the story. Forget it, man. How a homeless man cracked the case. That's what we get in.
There was the security footage that captured him within a half mile of the professor's residence in Brookline. And there is a video footage of him entering an apartment building in the location of the professor's apartment. And then later that evening, he is seen about an hour later entering the storage unit.
Now, how police were able to ID the suspect vehicle is all due to a homeless man referred to John in the affidavit. Police are crediting John for, quote, cracking the case wide open. John told police he had encountered the suspect in the building before the shooting and followed him out. Police confirmed John is that anonymous second person police were looking to speak to because he was seen in surveillance video and then video encountering the suspect. So John is also the same person who posted the tip on Reddit describing the gunman's suspicious vehicle in great detail. This man's information and tip led authorities to locate the car and then the suspect's identity, even though the suspect used multiple license plates trying to evade authorities. Well, meanwhile, in the wake of the shootings, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has now paused that visa program in which the individual was able to enter the United States. Todd, back to you.
Chanley Painter, thank you. With that, let us bring in former chief of police at Southern Connecticut State University, Joe Dooley. He's on my right.
See, so now look what's going on. Now this is gonna hurt hurt immigrants coming in on student visas. I'm with you 100%, Ms. Berry. It sounds fishy as hell to me as well. It doesn't really add up, because all of a sudden this homeless guy had described the car in great detail, and then I'm hearing like the homeless guy had been trying to like get in touch with law enforcement for like a couple of days, and they didn't even give him they didn't even respond to him until he took the evidence he had and put it on social media. That's why listen, this is what I told you 2 days ago. The social media sleuths, they are now more competent than the actual detectives and the police officers who are actually paid to solve these crimes. The social media sleuths, it's a hard word to say. The social media the sleuths, they are now, in my opinion, more credible than most of these law enforcement agencies in these local, these little small cities. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that it took social media posts to find information that could lead them to the suspected killer. But in my opinion, it was inevitable. You're creating these volatile situations on these college campuses, these entitled people. Bro's in the United States on a 21-year visa, bro. You had nothing to be mad about, bro. 100%, Ms. Berry, because nobody, Ms. Berry said the Brown University staff seems complicit. 100%. And I believe it was targeted. And I believe there were many people who were in on it that will never get caught. Because how does someone walk in with a gun and shoot down 2 people? And y'all so scared, we just go run and let them get away. But nobody's getting a description. No one's following at a distance. None of that. It just does not add up to me. Sorry, guys. I don't want to be a conspiracy guy, but it just stinks to high heaven. Then he goes and kills the professor from MIT. This guy was able to cross state lines and go kill a professor over at MIT like it was nothing. And they still didn't catch him. They couldn't catch him until he was laid up in his damn storage unit shot. That's when they caught him. So bro just basically doing his own thing. Hold on.
Law enforcement experts on the program, on the channel, over the course of the last 24 hours and all week long, in fact. But your focus is on hardening institutions, be it schools, hospitals, whatever, to make sure that if something like this is about to happen, that it doesn't, or if it does, we find the suspect immediately. And Joe, I'm going to start with you. What stands out to me, the fact that the thing that blew this case wide open was a random homeless guy who provided the necessary connections and information to tie all this together, speaks volumes to me about the lack of proper cameras, security, you name it, on the campus of Brown. Joe.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It was an incredible job that they did in finally bringing this to a conclusion. But information at the beginning of this incident, as it's unfolding, is absolutely critical. Having the information to the, hundreds of law enforcement were there Saturday night in Providence, and it can be very chaotic without information. Having the information at hand, the videos, the radio communications, and interoperability is so critical.
Jeff, the president of Brown University, Christina Paxson, shockingly said during a press conference yesterday, when all this started going down, quote, "I don't think a lack of cameras in that building had anything to do with what happened." To me, that statement is completely incongruous. So to you, I ask, what do all schools, whether you're a kindergarten and a preschool or a college and university, need to do to make sure they harden their targets starting yesterday?
Well, I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and the timeliness of it is critical. By being able to share immediate video out to agency or agencies, multiple agencies, within 5 to 10 seconds, which is what NeutralLink provides, that gives them a live picture of what transpired.
And to be clear, you work for a company named NeutralLink who provides these very services. I want to be completely clear about that. Let's go back to the the Attorney General for Massachusetts, on the difficulty of tracking the suspect through his phone. I want you to listen to this.
So he was using an application on his phone, and there have been a couple of things. The Google phone doesn't allow officers to ping the direct location and get real-time location information about the phone. There was also beliefs that he was using SIM cards that were possibly European SIM cards that are carried through a provider in the United States, but does not provide real-time information about tower connections.
To be clear, she's not the Attorney General. She's the attorney for the District of Massachusetts. But regardless, what stood out to me is that earlier in this week, you heard law enforcement obviously has been working this case hard, and you heard this synopsis there. They were very quick, law enforcement across the board, to say there was no connection between MIT and Brown. We reported it. We said there was no connection, according to what authorities say. And now they're obviously backtracking because they see a connection. Why do you think, Joe, as somebody who has run a camp?
Yeah, man, they said a lot of stuff. And I really believe that all this stuff was just said to kind of like throw everybody off the trail. These people just were throwing, man, I'm telling you, you had a press conference like hours later where everyone got up there and just said, we don't know anything. Who does that? Who has a press conference to tell you they don't know anything? It's just total BS if you ask me. More of the same crap that we're always dealing with from these people. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Hold on, guys. What are you gonna do? You can't win for losing with these folks. They just say anything, do anything, and then they don't even apologize. They go against their own rules, the rules that they themselves set, and they do it, and you can't even criticize them. If you criticize them, oh yeah, you're undermining law enforcement. But I keep telling people, right? I keep telling people, this is what happens when you start all this DEI hiring, all this defund the police crap. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get people who are just like not qualified. And they're going to be put in very important positions. And them being put in those positions is going to put the lives of you and your loved ones in jeopardy. There's no other way I could say it. Okay, I want to talk about the situation with Rob Reiner, because now TMZ is coming out with a new report on the details of what happened, the events that led up to the stabbing of Rob Reiner and his wife. And I'm not gonna lie, from where I'm sitting, it's looking like I was right. It's looking like I was right. I said a lot of things regarding this case. A lot of people criticized me for the things I said, but from where I'm sitting, it's looking like I was right about a lot of what I said as to the motives and the reason why the son eventually ended up unaliving the parents. Let's tap into this, my good people.
we have received shocking details this morning regarding the death of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle in their Brentwood home. Rob Reiner, obviously being the legendary director and producer who created movies such as A Few Good Men and The Princess Bride. We'll go into the exclusive details we have in a second, but first I want to get into the general overview and what we know. So yesterday, Sunday at 3:30 p.m., we received a report that an ambulance had been called to the home of Rob and Michelle Reiner, and that 2 deceased people were found inside, a man being 78 and a woman being 68, with lacerations on their throat consistent with a knife. Now, later that night at 7:30, it was confirmed to be Rob and Michelle Reiner. We were told that they were found by their 28-year-old daughter, Romy Reiner. What's interesting about this is that upon finding her deceased parents, she had called the ambulance got there, and she had actually told authorities that there was one specific family member that should definitely be at the top of the suspect list. This family member is none other than Nick Reiner. This came as a huge shock because it's actually seemed like for a while that Nick and his father Rob definitely weren't on the best of terms all the time, but they definitely had a decent relationship to the point where they even made a movie together. They've been in interviews together. So it came as a shock to a lot of people that were familiar with Rob Reiner and his family. There's something that we learned which kind of gives us an insight into what happened leading up to the homicide itself. We're told that there was a Christmas party hosted Saturday night, just a day before the murder, by Conan O'Brien. There were a lot of movie producers, there were a lot of directors there, and we're told by sources closely connected to the case that there was a huge fight between Rob Reiner and his son, Nick. This fight was apparently so big that it was extremely difficult for the people around them to ignore. And it just got to a point, we're told, where Nick and his mom, Michelle, had to leave the event. We don't know what this fight was about. We don't know why the disagreement was so big, but we were just told that it was so explosive that it was really hard to ignore. Speaking of Michelle, Nick's mom, we're told that Michelle, in the months leading up to the homicide, had been telling her friends and family that her and her husband, Rob, were at her wit's end, and I quote that, their wit's end, regarding Nick and his behavior and his mental health issues and his issues with substance abuse. Now, this also gives us a peek into the mental state of Nick Reiner leading up to the events, because when somebody is dealing with mental health issues, when you couple that with substance abuse, things can become extremely explosive. And maybe, you know, this is all conjecture, but maybe that was what was happening at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. Eric Idle, for example, has said that he spoke to Rob in the time leading up to his death, and he seemed fine. There was no concern for his safety. There was no concern for his son, Nick. So it seems like this caught them completely off guard. Now, what we know at this time is that Nick has been charged with the murder of his parents, and he's currently being held on a $4 million bail. The death of Rob and his wife has sent shockwaves throughout the internet and the film industry. You have people like Barack Obama coming out, for example, talking about it. You have people like Donald Trump that are coming out and talking about it. So again, this is a very high-profile case, and I'm sure because in cases like this, they're usually very quick to get to court. So we will know in the coming months exactly what the motive was behind this killing, what the argument was at Conan O'Brien's house, Nick's history with mental health, Nick's history with his substance abuse issues. And I think when all of that comes to light in a court of law, we'll get a very clear picture about what happened and why it happened. But for now, make sure to subscribe because we're going to keep our ear to the ground for you. And when we have an update, you will hear about it here on the TMZ YouTube channel. Guys, my name is Jackson Buhai. Thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you soon.
The Reiners' legacy lives on. The communities impacted by their activism.
Yeah, so it's pretty much exactly what I was telling you guys about the son. Yeah, I mean, did I not say that that was most likely what happened? Oh, it's not. Focus it with this one. Thank you. So everybody was like, no, it's no, it's not that. It couldn't be that. It couldn't be that simple. So all the people were like, oh no, it couldn't be that. Oh, Brent, you're wrong. You don't know what about. It was exactly that. It was a typical case of you bringing your weird kid to a place, a setting they shouldn't be in. For one, he's a grown-ass man. He's still living in the guest house at the house. The other kids then moved out. He's still living there. Listen, I'm going to tell you straight. The minute my kid decides that they want to use drugs, that's the minute they can no longer live at my house. Point blank, period. The minute you decide that you're grown enough to be using that dope, this is casting a shadow. The minute you decide that you've grown enough to start smoking that tweed, well, that's when you've decided that you're grown enough to no longer live at my house. Period. No debate, no discussion. We're not going to argue about it. We're none of those things. But he's still there. And, you know, people say, oh, Trump was wrong about what he said about Rob Reiner. Well, am I wrong if I say that bro fell victim to the monster that he created? You listen, when I tell you these people, and when I say these people, I mean white folks specifically. I'm calling you out. Hold on, before I call him out, let me. I'm calling out white folks, 1,000%. These people, they have created an environment where parents can't even parent their kids. They've created that environment. Everything you do, oh, you abusive, you doing this, you doing that. What? Man, I'm out here raising my kid to the best of my ability, dude. That's all I'm doing. I'm out here raising my kid to the best of my ability. And our visuals should have improved greatly right now. But yeah, I'm raising my kid to the best of my ability. If you know a better way for me to raise them that actually works, just let me know. But in the meantime, just shut up and let me do my thing. Everybody's a mandated reporter. Kid comes up, my mama slapped me. My mama hit me. My mama made me go to bed without dinner. Oh, that person's a child abuser. Like, let's be real. They've created a situation where parents cannot parent their children. They can't discipline their children. The children become adults with no respect for authority, zero emotional control. They do not know how to interact within society. And guess what? They do stuff like what this Nick Reiner kid did. I had an argument with my dad, and then I went and stabbed him and my mom. That's why I let y'all watch the whole thing. I had an argument with my dad at a Christmas party, right? Because of some shit that I was doing. And because I'm a mental midget, a drug-addled degenerate, I was so hurt by what he said to me and what happened, I went and slaughtered him and my mother in cold blood. And did you guys hear what they said bro was doing at the party? They said bro just kept on like going up to people. They said bro kept going up to people asking like specific questions. And then like if people didn't answer the questions, bro just kept staring at them. So basically, if you didn't answer his ridiculous questions, he's just going to keep looking at you and just making it an awkward situation for everybody. Who wants to deal with that shit? But my question is this. Why are you bringing your kid to these type of events? You know he's messed up. You know you've given him everything he's ever wanted since he was a little bastard. But he's oppressed. He's a victim. It's your fault. It's your fault. Why would you even bring him? Leave his ass in that guest house. If he dies, he dies. But when you try to force these type of people into these type of situations, you die. I got an aunt who's a crackhead. I ain't bringing her nowhere, bro. I don't give a damn how many holidays we go to. She's not coming. Because she doesn't know how to act in front of company. She don't know how to behave herself. And when you call her out on the way she acts, then she makes it all about her and everybody's night is ruined. You don't know this? You raised him. You raised him to be whatever he is. And now you're going to pretend like you don't know what the hell is going on. We're still out of focus, guys. We're still a bit out of focus. Hold on, let me see if I can. But you're going to act like you don't even know your own kid. No, bro. I'm not buying it. I'm not with that. You know what he's capable of. You know what he does. You know what he's into. You know what type of dope he's smoking. But these people fell victim to the monster they created. I don't want to hear anything. Oh, you should feel sorry for him. No. No. No, no, no. This could have been prevented. It's called parenting. It's called tough love. It's called discipline. It could have been prevented. And they chose not to do a damn thing about it. I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for that. It's unfortunate what happened, but I would not go as far as to say I feel sorry for these two people.
We have received shocking.
This dude was busy trying to paint Trump to be a monster and all this stuff. And like I said before, you don't see Trump kids doing this. You don't see Trump having this problem with his kids. You don't see Lil Barron stabbing up Melania and Trump. You don't see that happening. I'm not going to go by what someone says. You can't tell me how virtuous and how great you are. You got to show me why I should listen to whatever it is that you're saying. I don't know which state is the show me state, but I'm from there. Show me. Prove it to me. And then everybody's reaching out to him. Oh, Rob Reiner this, Rob Reiner. Yeah, the swamp. Of course the swamp is going to feel sorry for the swamp member. Let's be real. Of course the swamp is going to feel sorry for the swamp member. But think of all the pain these people cause. Think of all the families. That's what I think about. I think of all the families that the rhetoric that these people spew have broken up. You know, it's almost like karma, man. I hope I don't get banned for saying that, but it's damn near like karma. And I'm glad I'm glad Trump said what he said. I'm glad Trump stood on his own 10 and was like, hell no. He fell victim to his own delusional propaganda and lies he was spewing. A straight up argument and your son killed you. That's crazy. I wish that upon no one, but at the same time, we not rewriting history for nobody either. We don't do that over here. We don't do that on this channel in particular. We don't do that. We gonna call it what it is from the jump. You was out here tripping, doing the most. We gonna call you out. That's what you made your choices like everybody else. And if those choices caught you, man, I feel sorry for you. I feel bad that it had to be you. But just the stuff these people push, man, is very hard to come to terms with this stuff. Because I feel like it's designed to like destroy people's lives. But that's the unpopular opinion. There was one more story I want to talk about, but apparently I can't find it. Let me see. Ilhan Omar her line, but
At marijuana.
what y'all? Oh man, this right here. Is it should I do the marijuana one? Oh, this one. This woke judge. These judges all over America have been like interfering with law enforcement, making these bad decisions based on activism, not based on the law. They've been preventing ICE from going after these immigrants the way they're supposed to be. And it's finally catching up with him. Woke judge found guilty in a court of law of obstructing the Department of Homeland Security in their carrying out of the presidential orders to go and evict these criminal illegal aliens. Hold on.
And them fascists? Do I regret that?
Yeah.
No, that's what I think they are.
What was that?
That's what I think they are. So no, I don't regret it.
Anything else about your testimony that you want to talk about?
I don't want to talk details because I don't know if I'm under any kind of restraint as far as that goes. Constraint. So after the trial's over, sure.
What was going through your head that day?
Just how ironic it is that we have a president who's been convicted of 34 felonies trying to persecute a judge for doing what judges do. So, yeah, I just thought the whole thing was tragic and ironic.
Do you think Judge Dugan is innocent or guilty?
Innocent. Absolutely innocent.
Protesters who've been outside the courthouse all week have tried to make the argument this was an overzealous prosecution and that these charges should have never come. I thought it was really interesting when we heard from Brad Schimmel. Did you notice the tone? He said, she is not a bad, I don't want to be misquoted here, not a bad person. She's not a martyr for some sort of civil cause. This was a bad day and she made basically the wrong choices. He was trying to tone down the bigger argument that a lot of people have been making and why this case has gotten a lot of national attention.
But you remember when this first came out, this did go into the attorney general was talking about it and other individuals in the
FBI director released the picture of the arrest.
So it was at first sort of a big deal and the government was trying to make a big deal out of it. And I think that's why the community was upset, that they thought maybe this was being pushed upon Milwaukee by Washington and that this really didn't need to happen.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we finally got him, right? We finally got one, guys. I know it's been a long time coming. There's been a lot of frustrations with the fact that, hey, in order to hold people accountable, especially Democrats, especially activist judges, okay, anybody on the left side of the aisle, it is a pain in the ass to actually hold them accountable because the system seems to be set up in order to allow them to be above the law, right? But we finally got one. Okay, and that is woke Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan. And I'm sure you guys remember this story. If you're not familiar with it, this was the woke judge that at the beginning of the Trump administration, the mass deportations, she decided it would be a good idea to help illegal immigrants evade ICE, right? Basically, she obstructed when ICE showed up to a courthouse in order to do their job, right, to enforce the law. She basically misled ICE and helped the illegals escape, okay? And the legal
Judge Hannah Dugan is on trial, but today a fellow judge took the stand. Dugan is accused of trying to help a defendant in her court evade ICE agents, directing him to leave through a private door. Judge Cristela Cervera walked the jury through the April morning. Bill Miston is live from the federal courthouse with the most compelling testimony of the day. Bill.
Yeah, that's right, Kim. Cristela Cervera's courtroom is right next door to Judge Dugan's at the Milwaukee County Courthouse. And Cervera testified on the stand today that she said when Dugan learned an ICE team was outside in the public hallway to make an arrest, Dugan entered her own courtroom. Cervera said Dugan motioned her to come with her, telling the jury, quote, I thought something bad had happened, and it was embarrassing to be summoned in that way. Cervera said when she started to take off her robe, Dugan told her to leave it on. Cervera testified she wasn't sure why Dugan involved her and that she felt hesitant to be a part of it, and it was embarrassing to be summoned in that way. Cervera said when she started to take off her robe.
Look at this big, fat, sloppy, nasty ass lady. They all want to be special. That's what the reality is. They all want to be special. They don't care if what they're doing is illegal or not. Yeah, this is my chance to fight the power. Bro, you are the power. You're sitting on that stand. You're expected to operate with some level of integrity. But instead of doing that, what are you going to do? You're going to freaking operate in opposition to the very Constitution that you swore to uphold and protect. Come on, dudes. Are you that ridiculous? It ain't that serious. These people have committed crime. You know exactly what crimes they've committed. You're a federal court judge for a reason. You know exactly what they did wrong. It should be as simple as, did they do something wrong? Yes. Did they do something wrong? No. Do I have any room in this situation to show some love, give a little break, whatever? Yes or no? That's it. You impeded ICE from carrying out the law, carrying out the presidential orders that they have been given. And now look at you, just looking dumb. Now you just looking dumb. Lost your job, about to go to jail. She's facing up to 5 years. Hey, Dukes. I hope it was worth it. And then the other judge who looked Hispanic, she narked you out. You about to fuck up her money.
Dugan told her to leave it on. Severa testified she wasn't sure why Dugan involved her and that she felt hesitant to be a part of it. Severa said when talking to federal agents in the hallway, Dugan went from irritated to angry and kept saying they needed a judicial warrant. Severa said she then escorted an agent to the chief judge's office down the hall, and when she looked back, Dugan wasn't there. Severa testified she felt, quote, abandoned as Dugan was able to get back to her calendar after pulling Severa out of her own court. Prosecutors say after that, Dugan directed Flores Ruiz and his attorney through a jury door leading out to the hallway. But agents later caught up to Flores Ruiz, arrested him, and eventually deported him last month. Now, Severa testified today that one attorney later came into her courtroom that day on April 18th, pumped a fist and said, quote, go judge. Severa said she didn't know what they were talking about. But when the chief judge later filled her in, she said she was, quote, shocked and mortified that someone might think she was involved. When the defense cross-examined Severa, she said she never told Dugan she was uncomfortable during those circumstances. Now
listen, Severa is Hispanic. She's Hispanic. I don't know exactly where she's from, but her last name is Hispanic, Severa, right? They pulled the Hispanic. See, this is what I try to tell everybody. White folk think they helping people who ain't never asked to be helped. You thought because she was Hispanic, she was going to be down with you in letting this criminal go and evade arrest, which he wasn't able to do anyway. No, she likes her job. Her parents probably immigrated over here, risked their lives to get over here. She's a citizen, I'm sure, and she appreciates the opportunity that America has provided her. She's not going to dishonor their risk, the risk they took, right? She's not going to dishonor them by putting that good-paying federal judge job in jeopardy to help out old dudes. These people think they are freaking helping you. I promise you, I was at my job the other day, and, we went to go pick up our bonuses and all that. I swear to God, when I got my bonus check, this freaking lady said, man, what do you think about the ICE deportations? She said, I bet you glad that they're after somebody else. I looked at this Mexican lady in her face. I said, have a Merry Christmas, and got on. She said, I bet you're glad they're after somebody else for a change. That is racist. Now, she's the wife of my boss, so I ain't going to say that because I like my job. But still, you said I'm some type of criminal? All black people are running from the cops? We're all on the lam? We're dodging the fuzz or what? I bet you're glad they're chasing somebody else. In my mind, I said better than me, but I just said, have a Merry Christmas. And I just kept going. That's what I'm saying. These people look at you like you're dirt. They look at you like you're dirt. And they say sometimes dirt needs help. And that's when they start trying to help you. Like, dude, just leave me alone and give me my money and have a good day. And I'm gone. But they think they're helping. They think they're superhero. She thinks she's Aquaplanet. She's Aquaman, but the size of a planet. Aquaman. But yeah. So I don't know. There's not too much you can say about this stuff. Sometimes all you can do is just shake your damn head, man. Sometimes all you can do is just shake your head at these folks. But it is what it is. But we're gonna put a lid on it, Joe Biden style. Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate everything you do for me and this channel. Sorry for the little technical difficulties. I'm gonna see if I can go edit those out real quick. Yeah. Till the next time, take care of yourselves, but most importantly, please take care of each other. Till the next time, peace.